Hello Wargamers, I'm Venomthrope, and I finally got my hands on a new Tyranids Codex. I'm very excited. And yeah, I am going to start doing unit by unit Codex reviews just like I did for the Tau Empire Codex. But before I do that, I wanted to give you kind of a preface of some initial thoughts and basically an outline of an army list that I'm going to be working towards in the short run here. So, yeah, new codex. Lots of things have changed. You know, I wasn't super into Tyranids with the old codex, so my reviews are not going to be necessarily from the perspective of what's changed. They're going to be about what the codex is, because that's the important part, right? There's really no use in talking about what's changed other than informing you about those changes. So, yeah, you know, a lot of people have been that's what I gotta deal with, folks. A lot of people have been saying that the Codex has a lot of shortcomings. There's been a lot of you know, negative attitudes towards the Codex on the internet here, and I'm just not that upset about it. I really think that, you know, there are some decent units in here. Yeah, there's no units like the Riptide or Broadsides where it's obvious that they are very powerful units and that they you know, are almost auto take. There's nothing like that in this codex really, except for maybe a few things like Winged Hive Tyrant with Twin-linked Devourers. My reviews are going to be from the perspective of, hey, let's take this army and see what we can do with it, instead of complaining about things that should have been or things that, you know, don't make sense and things like that. I'm going to take a positive outlook on this codex and try to make an army that works at least, you know, somewhat well. And so that's what you can look forward to in my videos. I'm going to try to be not negative at all. It's going to be very positive. So that's kind of the outlook that I have. Yeah, the instinctive behavior is huge, and so there's really an emphasis on having synapse or using single model monstrous creature units that you know, aren't going to have to eat each other, basically. So you're going to have to figure out ways around synapse, which is you know, always been the trick with Tyranids, but particularly in this edition of the Codex. So, yeah, winners and losers in this Codex. Hive Tyrants, always good, but things that are really standing out to me is cool are Venomthropes, obviously, Carnifexes, Hormagaunts, and Molochs are pretty sweet too. And so those are guys that are really standing out as key players in this codex, and some of the guys that are maybe taking a back seat are Tervigons and Trigons and poor Pyrovores. They never get a a good swing at bat there. So those are kind of the losers of the codex, but. Yeah, really cool stuff. I'm glad that they're bringing in tail biomorphs. I don't know how much they'll actually see play just because of points restrictions. You know, you gotta get the most bang for your buck. The psychic powers are actually, you know, they're not as good as biomancy, but there's a lot of really cool stuff in there, like extending your psychic or your synapse range by 6 inches. That's pretty awesome, and I'll have a whole video on this. Catalyst and Onslaught are both great, and yeah, I can really see those being things that people are shooting for in their codex, or in their army list. As far as what I'm actually going to be bringing, I'm thinking of, for a 1,000-point list, you saw my current collection in an earlier video, and so I'm going to be building off of that. For a 1,000-point list, I'm thinking of taking a Hive Tyrant with wings and Twin-linked Devourers. It's going to be my HQ choice. Troops, I'm thinking taking a unit of 30 Termagants and then a Tervigon, which, you know, it's hard because, you know, Tervigons aren't necessarily the most effective unit as like they were in the last codex. You know, I said I'm not going to be talking a lot about the changes, but you can't really not talk about the changes when you talk about Tervigon. They're not something they're going to be spamming, but I think they're a good backbone to have. At least at first thought, at first impression, it looks like it's going to be a good backbone to that wave of Gaunts that's going to be coming forth, and it produces more troop units, which, let's face it, with Tyranids you need, because you're going to be spending them to take not only hold objectives, but you know, take on your opponent as well. They're not sitting in the backfield hanging out. They're aggressive troop units. So being able to produce more of them, I think, is really important, at least in theory. Elites is someplace that you're going to see a lot of highly contested. Oh, sorry, I forgot. I'm also going to be bringing a unit of 20 Hormagaunts for troops. For elites, going to be working with 1 Venomthrope and 2 one-man Zoanthrope units. Again, the idea there is Venomthropes are going to be able to provide a little bit of added cover to the swarm, and then Zoanthropes are there for synapse support. And then I just have enough points left over for 1 not fast attack heavy support choice, which is going to be a Carnifex. I'm going to bring a Carnifex with Twin-linked Devourers and adrenal glands. And that about works out to be 1,000 points. So that's what I'm going to be working towards. I was really debating between Carnifex and Moloch. I think it'd be cool to have a Moloch just because A, it's an awesome model, but also, you know, having some good, you know, template damage is definitely a plus. But I think having a Carnifex brood might be better in the long run, just because if I can work towards a unit of 3 Carnifexes with Twin-linked Devourers, that's a lot of shots. And considering the number of aggressive units that I have, and the number of synapse creatures, and the number of monstrous creatures, I think it's going to be difficult to prioritize targets with this army, just because you're choosing between the Hive Tyrant, the Zoanthropes, the Tervigons, and the Carnifex. All those things need to be taken out pretty quickly, and then on top of that you have Gaunts rushing at you, and you know, the Carnifex and the Hive Tyrant throwing tons of Devourer shots at you. So that's the idea with that 1,000-point list. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to be working for, and trying to test that out and see how it goes. Who knows? Could be a terrible list, and you know, I'm sure someone on the internet will tell me it is. But nonetheless, I'm going to be having fun with this codex, and just seeing what I can make of it. So yeah, stay tuned for unit by unit entry reviews, and happy wargaming.